Well, think about the evidence of an eyewitness in a court case. One of the things that you as a juror have to ask is there any ulterior motive for this testimony? What does this person have to gain by lying? In the case of the apostles, they had no earthly reward to gain and every earthly comfort to lose, yet they persisted. In fact, they were willing to spend the rest of their lives proclaiming the message of salvation through faith in Jesus without any payoff from a human point of view. No retirement plan, no 401k, no cozy villa waiting for them in Capernaum. They faced a life of hardship. They were ridiculed, beaten, imprisoned, and finally, most of them were executed in torturous ways. Why? Because they were convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that they had seen Jesus Christ alive.
The Bible is undoubtedly the best source for information about the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Yet there are those who would dismiss these accounts outright simply because of their religious subject matter. But are there other sources of information that might uphold the resurrection story? Sources that have no religious affiliation whatsoever?
We know a striking number of things about Jesus from outside the New Testament. We have about 12 comments from secular and non-Christian historians, government officials, and so on. And from these sources, we can put together a life of Jesus without ever opening the New Testament. And in this body of material, we even have a reference or two to at least to the disciples' belief in resurrection. And here I'm talking about the Josephus comment, where he's actually saying the disciples believed he was raised from the dead.
Josephus is not the only ancient writer to support the gospel stories. At least 9 strictly secular ancient documents speak either of Jesus or the key beliefs of the early Christians. Among the authors are Cornelius Tacitus, the most important Roman historian of the 1st century.
Cornelius Tacitus was a Roman historian who confirms that Jesus was crucified as a criminal under Pontius Pilate. He also tells us that Christianity had its origins in ancient Judea.
Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate, and a most mischievous superstition broke out not only in Judea, the first source of the evil, but even in Rome.
In his text, Tacitus tells us the persecuted people were called Christians, and he explains how the group got their name. The extreme penalty Tacitus refers to in the passage is crucifixion, by far the most cruel fate anyone could suffer in the Roman Empire. And it's widely believed that the mischievous superstition he refers to is the Christians' belief in the resurrection of Christ from the dead. Examining the evidence for himself, that's what Jesus' doubtful disciple Thomas insisted on. But what if he were around today? And what if he had never seen the physical evidence of Jesus' resurrected body? Would the evidence found in the writings of non-Christian witnesses carry enough weight to convince him? Or would he demand the answers to even more difficult questions? For example, the ancient sources clearly verify that Jesus was crucified. But did he actually die on the cross? The mere suggestion that Jesus might have survived his brutal punishment would make many Christians very uncomfortable. Yet the doubting Thomas of today may well ask the same question. So, what really happened to Jesus' body on that first Easter morning? After 2,000 years have passed, can the fact of Jesus' death be proved beyond the shadow of a doubt?